Hello, it's so nice to see you all. I just wanted to make a little video to show to you all this custom figure that I was commissioned to make. And of course, as you know, that's this right here, Giestron from Ultraman Taiga. Of course, as we all know, the plural of Giestron is Goostron. But today we just have the one Giestron. I was commissioned to make this Giestron by somebody who wanted me to make it using one of the bootleg Bandai Earthtron figures based off the 2012 6-inch Earthtron. So this figure is in scale with your 6-inch figures instead of the 5-inch ones like the crappy Giestron that we actually did get from Bandai. Just to show you some of the details I did, it was mostly just putting smooth textures like this here on the tail and on the leg over most of the scaly bits, or rough orange textures like all the orange bits and the spikes. It was a thing where my work was cut out for me, although it did take a while to get everything sculpted, nearly a month, which is a lot longer than a lot of my other figures have taken. Just see some of the details there. One thing you'll have to do with this, if you do this yourself, is to flip the hands inside so their palms are facing each other, because the original Earthtron, he has hands like that, right? Because he's gonna play the piano. But that kind of gets in the way when you want to put these 3 spikes on his arms, because see, if his hands are facing down like that, then this spike can't come over his middle finger unless you put it on top of his arm and have him spiral around to the back, and that would just look silly. So I cut the hands off and glued them back on facing this way. And as you can see, let's just focus in there. Beautiful. As you can see, it's mostly just these smooth bits and these rough bits and these spikes. Another thing the customer wanted was to have an open mouth on this, because Earthtron has a closed mouth. So what I did was I just cut the mouth open right along the teeth, just being careful not to cut any of his teeth off. And then once I had that, I stuck the mouth inside after sculpting the interior, so he's got a tongue and a roof of his mouth and everything. And there's his eyes. Hello. I like to paint the eyes last on my custom figures. It's just a thing I like to do. See the extra sculpting I added to his brow and this little spike here. The additional 2 horns. The orange on this figure was not the easiest to paint. When I first put it on, just one coat of a bright orange, it didn't look very good, and then I thought, I know, I'll put this mucky orangey brown over everything. And then I showed it to the customer, and he thought, that doesn't, it could be a little darker, and I agreed, so I dry brushed some red over the orange bits to make it look darker, and I think that gives it a very nice look. In particular, I like how this maroon dry brushing came out along his underbelly there. Is that a maroon color? I don't know, but it's like a red color, and I think it looks nice. And there's that on the bottom of his foot. All of my commission figures have that on the bottom of their foot. It's just to kind of look over at his details. He does also feature some articulation. All of the articulation in the original figure was retained, so he can move his arms. They're a little bit hindered, but they can still move. And the legs, they're not as obstructed as the arms, but they're pretty stiff. It's a relatively hard vinyl figure, and then you got that hard clay over it that just makes the joints more stiff. and then the tail rotates around. I'm pretty sure that's a telltale sign if you have a bootleg Earthtron. If it moves around really easily, then it's a fake. So that's that. I bet some of you would like to see some size comparisons, huh? Well, here's a couple of Ultra Heroes. One in the older 6-inch size, and here's a Figuarts for good measure there. You can see I'm pretty sure the bootleg Earthtron is slightly shorter than the official Earthtron, because they've just casted this off the original figure, so if you used an official Earthtron, he would be a little taller. But that's okay. He looks fine next to Figuarts figures. No real issues here. And even some of the older Ultra Monster figures, you know, they were pretty short sometimes too. So it works out. Here's one more Ultra Hero, Gomora. That would be a cool fight, wouldn't it? Yeah. And then, of course, you could also bring in guys like Lunatics, reenact that time. Lunatics he kind of shows up and he comes up to Giestron in the show and he's like, hello. So that's about all I have to share with you today for Giestron. It's so lovely to see you. Although I guess as a little bonus, I bet some of you at home might be thinking, oh, you know, that would be really cool if he reached out of frame and you know, if he had like a bonus size comparison at the end, and maybe he was reaching out of frame to pull out the 2012 Earthtron and another custom figure of Giestron, you know, the other monster that was made using an Earthtron suit, and he would have all three of them, and that's why Giestron's off to the side of the frame, and he'd have Giestron and Earthtron and Giestron, and then just to up the ante, he would maybe reach off and pull out Kelbeam. Well, that would be cool, wouldn't it?